I'm not going to scrap the beginning part, and I'm going to totally use that as the snippet.
God damn it.
It's all your fault, Alex.
God damn it. I was fooled. I was bamboozled.
You fool. You fell for it.
You utter fool. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and joining me tonight, I have our czar of source material, John.
The future is now, old man.
I hope so. So, tonight, John and I are going to be talking about something that has come to prominence over the last several years, I guess you could say. And that's this idea of virtual waifus. It's the best kind of term I could think of to call all of these characters. But yeah, we're going to be talking about things like Atsune Miku from Vocaloid, Kizuna Ai, and more recently, which is definitely in the news and on a lot of people's minds, is this new hentai cam girl named Project Melody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just on a lot of people's minds, it's on a lot of people's stomachs too. I mean, what?
Gross. I didn't need that.
I wanted to start this with just like a brief overview for like the first 10 minutes of kind of like how we got here and talk about a little bit of the history of how we got to Project Melody, because let's be honest, that's really what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, and I just got to say, it's been a long fucking time, man. We've come a long way in technology. To even, like, you tell someone 20 years ago, hey, there's going to be hentai cam girls that's mocapped real time, and you're going to
First thing you're going to say is, what's hentai?
No, most people would be like, what? Like, you think about it. It's 20 years, not even 10 years ago. You wouldn't even have fathomed this. Like, it's so crazy. Technology, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And a lot of people, especially younger people, might not realize this, but this kind of goes back, at least I think it kind of goes back to this idea of virtual personalities. And the first, like, prominent one I can recall is this character that was created in the mid-'80s called Max Headroom. Now, if you're old, like an old fucker like me, you might actually recognize Max Headroom. It was essentially supposed to be this fictional artificial intelligence character, and they made a couple of, like, short films based around this character. Eventually ended up giving the character itself a talk show, like a late night talk show. I think it aired on Cinemax in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Channel 4 in the UK, which is where it originated from. And it was essentially this guy. It was an actual person. It wasn't like a 3D rendered avatar or anything. It was a person in really heavy makeup, like a plastic wig, and he was wearing clothes that were like, they almost like they were painted on. They were made to look plastic. And in every appearance that this character had, he would be like stuttering, or it would look like he was essentially a computer program running with glitches in it. And all the impressive thing about this is, being done in the mid-'80s, there wasn't a whole lot of computer power behind all of this, and all of the effects behind this character were done in real time. Like real-time editing, which is what made it really impressive then. You look at it now. I mean, if you type in Max Headroom on YouTube, you can find dozens and dozens of clips from the show and from, the short films that the character was in. By today's standards, it may look kind of corny and cheesy, but back then it was like really like top of the line, cutting edge technology.
So just little pre-warning for the people who don't know what Max Headroom is. It's creepy as shit, dude. Alex sent me a 5-minute clip of it, and I watched like maybe 2 minutes, and it's fucking Uncanny Valley as shit.
It is.
It made me uncomfortable. I didn't like looking at it. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you look at it now and it's like, it was acceptable in the 80s.
Yeah. freaking cocaine-fueled nightmare right there. But
I know.
I'd like to.
But we move on. But we move on from that. There's a huge branch of time, and then we get to like the mid 2000s,
Well, hold on,
and that's when
hold
this
on.
concept. There's more.
Just since we're talking about virtual personalities, I'd like to just put Hal from Space Odyssey in there.
Well, that's way back in the day. That's the 1960s. But yeah, I mean, Hal is essentially a virtual personality.
I'm just saying we've always had, with the advent of technology, we've always had this infatuation with AI and virtual personalities. Just saying.
Ever since like the computer was a thing, we've kind of had this concept in the back of our minds like, well, what if we could just get a computer to think like a person?
Yeah, and we're almost there.
Well, no, we're getting close. I think we're still a little ways off from like actual artificial intelligence, but yeah. But moving on. So in the mid 2000s, we had something come in, this concept of virtual idols with a program called Vocaloid. And now, John, you're a huge fan of Hatsune Miku, so I'm gonna let you take all of this.
So in the mid 2000s, a company called Krypton, or they might have been something else before, decided, hey, you know what we should do? We should be able to animify people's voices and make them sing. And we'll create virtual pop idols, and it will be a fucking sensation. And that is exactly what they did with the birth.
It was a sensation.
It's still super big in Japan right now. I'd say it's not that big in the West, not anymore. Like, definitely, I'd say in the early 2010s, it was sweeping the nation. Like, there were shows coming. There was a show in, I believe, LA and New York in 2011. And I couldn't go because I was still in high school and I didn't have money to go travel.
You're still a babby.
I was still a little I'm still a babby, but but it's, and then, you know, there was like crazy things like Hatsune Miku was, I believe she opened for like Lady Gaga and stuff like that.
Yeah, she opened for Lady Gaga for like 2 or 3 years, I think.
And it was just like, it's super crazy because who would have thought that you could have virtual idols? Like, these idols don't exist, and they're not just girls. If you're not familiar with Vocaloid, there's men and women of all ages and sizes, and
there's like a couple dozen different characters now, isn't there?
Yeah, there's also Utaoids, and there's this whole different thing, but
there's also voiceroids, which are like text-to-speech simulators or something like that.
Yeah,
which is based on the same technology.
It's a huge freaking rabbit hole to fall into, and quite a hobby to spend all your money on, but I do what I have to do. And
how many Miku figures do you have?
Not enough. Not nearly enough.
That's the right answer, though.
But yeah, with the advent of virtual idols, like, I remember originally it was just like, you know, a normal animated like music video with just like the Miku characters dancing around and stuff, and then they invented a new program called Miku Miku Dance. And this kind of revolutionized the like weeb world as we knew it, because now all of a sudden people could also, not only could you use the program to make your own music, which people do now with Miku Miku Dance, you could have your own virtual idol performing how you wanted it to. So you could create
on a stage of your choosing. Yeah,
and you could create the models and you could do whatever you wanted. And this kind of gave rise to the next big thing, which started in like the early 2010s, which would be virtual YouTubers. And I don't... Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the distinction we need to make is, so for virtual idols like Vocaloids, I mean, it's a pre-sampled voice. There's no one actually behind it. So when you go to like a Vocaloid concert, whether it's in Japan or, you know, here in the States or in Canada or wherever, it's music that's already been sampled and created, and they've already like pre-rendered all of the dance moves to just be synced with the music. Yep. So there's no actual person doing it in real time behind the scenes.
No, the only thing that they're doing in real time is they actually have like there are Miku Miku Dance Girls, which is just kind of like a cheerleader squad, and then the instruments are generally live. They'll have a band performing with them.
Yeah, like a backing band.
Yeah, but other than that, like, the entire performance is scripted. All the songs obviously are scripted, and it's all just a giant laser show, but it's awesome. I freaking love going to Expo. The Miku Expo. I really wanted to go this year, but I can't. But that's, you know, I need to spend more.
Then you get to what you just mentioned was the virtual YouTubers. Now this is a big step, because whereas Vocaloid is something that's pre-rendered and everything's done beforehand, and then you just show off what you kind of cobble together. virtual YouTubers, it's pretty much done for lack of a better term, in real time. So virtual YouTubers are like this concept where you have like a webcam or a motion capture suit that you wear, and then that's using software. It's actually controlling a virtual avatar on screen.
Yeah, like what the one of the biggest differences is that, at least when I looked at some virtual YouTubers, because I don't know that much about it. I know some, like who they are, like Kizuna Ai and Kaguya Luna. I know them. But like it's crazy because when you watch them, it follows like their head movement, it follows their pupil sizes, like when people
Their
open
mouth.
their mouth. It's so crazy, and it's like it's
Yeah,
real time
you don't
avatars.
have to do like lip syncing. Like when you do for anime, when you're animating a scene in anime, you actually have to take care of doing the lip syncs. This is doing it for you,
and it's super crazy. Technology has gone so far, and yet we're not even out of the 2010s yet.
Now there are the big difference in quality of virtual YouTubers I've seen. You can usually tell when someone's wearing a motion capture suit versus just using some software that's attached to their webcam.
Yeah.
Most of the virtual YouTubers that just use the software that's in the webcam, they only are shown like from the shoulders up. So there's not a whole lot of movement with their bodies. The motion capture ones are typically, I mean, you can still sometimes just see them from the shoulders up, but they'll also like show, like they'll be doing skits where you see their whole body and stuff.
Yeah, and
they're flailing around. Like Kaguya Luna and Kizuna Ai do this all the time, where they do full body stuff where they're flailing their arms around throughout the the scene or whatever they're talking about or doing. And a lot of these virtual YouTubers, they operate in like 2 or 3 different categories where they do a lot of vlogging, let's playing, and then there's some people that do some of them that do live streams.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I know that there's the big 4 virtual YouTubers, which is Kizuna Ai, Kaguya Luna, Zero, and Mirai Akari. They're the ones that have 700,000 plus followers.
Yeah, I don't know much about virtual YouTubers. All I know is Kizuna Ai and Kaguya Luna were like the big ones that I first heard about.
And Kizuna Ai, as much as she touts being the first one, she actually wasn't. There was one called Amy Yamato, which was all the way back in the spring of 2011 when she started doing videos. But Kizuna Ai didn't come in until about 2016.
Yeah, and
so
I'd like to also point out, like, technically, yeah, Ami, because I checked out Ami Yamato's vlogs. She does vlogging, and she does have a virtual avatar, so she's technically the first virtual YouTuber, but it's not like mocap like Kizuna Ai and Kaguya Luna are.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like, this is semantics at this point. Like, well, is Ami not, or is she? Like, I'd say she technically is, because she does use a virtual avatar for a YouTube personality, which is kind of the difference between what we would consider a virtual YouTuber versus maybe someone who does like animations and just has like a character that they use for themselves. It's like, it's kind of a big leap from going from 2D to 3D.
It is. You're absolutely right. I think though when Kizuna Ai started her stuff and she got really big, I think that's when the floodgates started opening. Yeah. Because now there are dozens and dozens and dozens of virtual YouTubers out there. A lot of them are either they speak Japanese or Chinese or Korean. They're Asian, but there are also some out there that speak English. Natsumi Moe is an English language VTuber out there that you can find. I've watched some of her videos. She's kind of cute. There are also some other ones out there. She's one of the bigger English language VTubers. Some of them have organized themselves into VTuber groups. The 2 big ones out there are HoloLive and Nijisanji. I think Nijisanji has like 32 different VTubers that work in that group. I don't know the exact number. I know it's more than like 20.
That's a crazy amount of people to work with. Holy crap.
It is. And they do lots of gaming together, and they do like vlogs together where it's like they'll all sit in a room and they'll do challenges to each other and play like party games.
That's pretty cool to do, because there's also been the rise of popularity of like streamer houses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. From like the mid 2000s to now, like it's a lot more common for people to do it because it's easier to create content, and you have more. When you have a huge cast of people to pick from, you can like curate it to a specific type of audience who like when 4 different types of personalities clash. you know. They love stuff like that. But it seems to me that when Keys and I came out and the floodgates opened, people realized, like, you don't have to be like this beautiful person anymore. All you have to do is have an okay voice, and as long as you have a cool looking model, like a good looking model, you could just be the personality that you want to be, and people like that. You know, it's just like,
yeah,
we're traveling back in time where people back in the day had to be like, you know, when we think about TV personalities, everyone had to be beautiful, they had to be a certain height, they had to be certain this, that. But with these virtual YouTubers coming out, it's an avatar. You know, just like when you make
it can be
own...
anything you want it to be. Like if you're an artist, you can change how it looks on a whim.
Yeah, and it's fine, you know, like as long as maybe not, I don't know, because this kind of leads us into our next section. the meat of the night.
Before we move on, so you mentioned like you can come up from the bottom and you don't have to be beautiful and all that. I would like to mention a lot of the really big virtual YouTubers, and I think all of the big four they're run by production houses, so it wasn't like a, you know, little person's rise at the top. They had a lot of help getting there.
Yeah, so that's
had
another
some people
thing
behind them,
because now, like we were talking about earlier, there's like dozens and dozens of other virtual YouTubers. You can't see my air quotes, but I'm air quoting, who are just like using like, you know, cam software and kind of just trying to scratch out part of this living. Like, this is a market that they're trying to get into because you could get big. You know, as long as you're entertaining, as long as you can find a dedicated fan base, you can make a living off of this. And as long as you like what you're doing, then okay, you know, go for it. But
absolutely,
the big ones are definitely a lot more professional, and it seems like it works better when it's professionally made, because people do care about quality somewhat. Like you need quality on top of having a dedicated fan base, because how are you going to get more fans?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there is no way to get more fans besides, you know, have that quality and actually have the passion too.
Yeah.
I would like to mention that I find it innately funny that Kizuna has gotten so big now that she's actually become the official spokesperson for a bunch of brands in Japan, and she's actually the official spokesperson for the U.S. Japanese Tourism Society or something like that. I forget the actual name, but she's the actual, like, the face of Japanese tourism, like American Japanese tourism.
You know, back in the day, Miku used to be the ambassador for Toyota, and
I know.
The queen will rise again. Anyway.
But yeah, it's just funny that these virtual YouTubers, and it's not just Kizuna. I think Kagi Luna has a couple of endorsement deal things, and you know, some of these other big virtual YouTubers are starting to endorse products now and be like the face of different companies. And it's like, it's really weird because it's not a person, but you kind of for a second buy the fact that it is a person.
Yeah, who would have thought that an online avatar could make their own, like, living and being a famous fucking person? That's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's so crazy.
Speaking of crazy, though.
Oh, here's the meat of it.
Have you been on Chatterbait lately?
I've never used that website, but...
that leads us into... So, Project Melody, if you haven't heard about her yet, I don't know what rock you've been living under, because it's literally all anyone wants to talk about. So, Project Melody is the self-described first hentai cam girl. That's what she uses. You can judge for yourself whether it's apt. But she's on multiple platforms. She has like a Twitter page, a Twitch page, on YouTube. She actually released a video on YouTube back in, I think it was January of 2020, where she asked the question, is hentai art?
Yes.
And it's a really good video. You should go watch it. And she provides a really good argument as to why hentai is art.
Oh, I don't need to watch the video. I disagree. But
you don't need to have your view, like, just, you know, have your ego stroked. It's like, I know I'm right. Just shut up.
Yeah, so I knew nothing about Project Melody. I don't watch the Chatterbait stuff, and just like I just saw there was a shit ton of memes, like Hose Mad memes, and
oh no, it's not Hose Mad, it's Bros Glad.
Bros Glad, Hose Mad, and like just people just started talking about this. Like, there's a hentai cam girl, and I was like, the fuck you just say to me? What? And
I like the fact that before all this started, so an artist came up with the design for Melody. It's an artist on Twitter you can find. I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. It's Digitrevex, I think is how you're supposed to say it. It's Digitrevex. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to pronounce it, but the Twitter account for her actually opened in July of 2019.
Okay.
And there's been like this evolving story, like a backstory for her, that she started out as a piece of software that was used to scan emails for malware. And by doing that, she became corrupted and addicted to sex.
Oh my god, they have a fucking origin story. What the
Yes,
fuck,
she
dude?
has. She has a fucking origin story that she got really interested in human sexuality by scanning for malware and finding porn pop-up ads.
That's so. God, that's so dumb. But I mean,
and then she started and then there were like really cryptic tweets. Like, so there's been like this meta story evolving around her. Like, she uses the Twitter page and like she's attained consciousness or something throughout the Twitter page. And then she's like, I think it was back in September, October last year, her Twitter page was like, I really want a real body. It's really great that she has this origin story that it sells this whole idea that she's supposed to be a real thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure no one buys that, but it's interesting how invested they are in creating Melody.
Yes.
Like, I didn't know that, and that's as dumb as I think it is. It's pretty smart on their part because they're going full tilt into this. She's real, but is she real? Because of Melody, there has been giant criticism across
from actual cam girls,
from other cam girls, like real 3D, real people cam girls, not just 3D hentai girls, that this is just a drawing. She's not real, and she doesn't deserve to get money because Ho's mad because Melody was pulling in all the views in Chatterbait because she freaking blew up overnight.
Yeah, and she, I think, let me look this up real quick. So she started actually streaming on Chatterbait on February 7th, 2020. Every single time she's streamed since then, she has been the number one girl on the site. Every time she streams, she's right at the top.
And I was like, that's so crazy. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't check out a stream because, I don't care about that, but I did check on Pornhub one of her uploaded streams to see how she interacted with her audience, and I can definitely see why she's even super popular among these guys. Like, at first I was like, oh, it's just because of the meme, because all these guys are like, haha, 3D hoes mad and all that stuff. But then when I watched her stream, I was like, no, she's pretty relatable. Like, it's weird. First of all, it's Chatterbait, and there's a girl pretending to fucking masturbate across the screen from you. That's weird. To me, it's weird. You weirdos out there.
You don't know that she's pretending. She could actually be fucking rubbing it.
But my point is that she also interacts with her streamer or her viewers just like a Twitch stream would, which is super weird because it's like she's kind of like a Twitch streamer as well because she interacts with her audience. And
she's just like a Twitch streamer that masturbates from time to time.
And it's so weird. It's like, this is such a weird place to be in, but then it's also super funny because she's able to relate to her viewers on such a higher level now, and she's just like the rise of what's that freaking pink-haired dinosaur's name? Bella Delphine. There we go.
Belle Delphine, the pink-haired dinosaur. Oh my god,
she's ancient news now, man. No one cares about her and her girl
bathwater.
No,
gamer girl bathwater.
Yeah, but she's old news now, all right? And she's like Bella Delphine. She got super popular because she was just a shit posting like meme lord, and
so is Project Melody.
Project Melody is kind of a shit posting meme lord too, but she also just like has that sexual side to her, and it's just like, it's so weird, but it works really well for her viewers.
If you think about it, I've talked to a lot of weebs over the years. It's kind of the type of girl that weebs are like after.
Yeah, it's like
this girl that has like this huge weeb side, but also likes to be really sexual.
Yeah, it's the over-sexualized male fantasy, okay? And it's gross. You guys need to stop it.
But it's a good thing Show isn't here. He'd give you what for.
I'm pretty sure he'd be on my side.
He'd look at you and just say, you toxic masculine person.
I'm pretty sure Show would be on my side about this. But that's just to give a little backstory about, like, Melody, in case anyone else didn't know about her because you're living under a rock. But It's
I think at this point, if you were like an actual weeb and you didn't know about Melody by now, what rock are you living under?
but it's
I mean,
just
I
crazy.
guess some people might not have heard about it though.
Yeah, but it's crazy how far technology has taken us. And I did notice that I'm not too sure because I didn't do any research because again, I'm never prepared for anything. Um, it looks like she uses like a VR chat model. It looks like PlayStation VR chat. I don't know.
I know that. So a lot of people were saying that she used like some combination of Miku Miku Dance with like just some still imagery.
Okay.
But that's not actually true. I found out since then they actually render this in real time using the Unity game engine.
Oh wow. Okay.
So she's wearing a full body like motion capture suit. And then some of the props that she brings in and she uses, I think, also have some kind of motion capture, like the balls on there that
balls
capture. Yeah, the little, I don't know what you call them, the motion tracking things on there, so that
sensors.
You know, when she picks up, sensors. When she picks up something and holds it in her hand, it actually appears on the screen too.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be cool to see like the the green screen with all the mocap balls everywhere. That'd be super crazy. But we're probably never gonna get to see that unless someone leaks it. But I don't know.
Or unless something happens with the stream and all the stuff goes away, then you just see who it is. Like that happened with that one virtual YouTuber who was streaming the one time. You found out it was a dude.
And that's kind of the scary thing about like why people are threatened by these type of like virtual cam girls.
Because you don't know.
Because you don't know who's behind there. It could be, I've used voice changing software before to sound like a girl to trick some guy into thinking I was a girl and get free stuff in MapleStory. Like, wow. You know what?
Wow.
That's MMO life, okay? Free shit from desperate fucking neckbeards. And
I think what you're saying is a desperate fucking like 11-year-old with mom's credit card, but okay.
Hey man, free is free. But point is, it's kind of scary because with the how anonymous the internet is, you don't really know who's on the other side of the screen. And with this rise of virtual stuff, it's kind of I can understand why people are concerned. Not these cam girls that are concerned because hoes mad they're just not making more money than an anime girl, and I'm just like, well,
I will say one thing. One of the criticisms that's lodged at Melody, which I think it's not an invalid criticism, and it's something that I think is worth pointing out. One thing that a lot of cam girls get is this societal stigma of being cam girls, right?
Yeah.
Like and I think that's more of an issue with society not being entirely sex positive. Like if these women decide, and men do this too, it's not just women, but if these people decide to do this of their own volition, and they're adults, they have agency. I mean, why should they be shunned for doing it? Money is money, right?
Well, and this is why like a lot of cam girls don't do face reveals because they're cam girls do this to make money. A lot of like the college girls do cam stuff to make money, mm-hmm. and they don't show their face because it's like if someone recognizes them, then there's this stigma associated with like, oh, she's selling her body online to strange men on the internet, which is true. But I'm like,
and with the prevalence of things like facial recognition software, you could put someone's face into some kind of a search engine and say, oh, this person was a fucking cam girl under this alias.
Yeah, and that's also another reason and a very valid criticism that these cam girls have. Like, Project Melody doesn't really have any risk involved. She doesn't have to.
Yeah.
She could be any shape or size. We don't know what her body shape looks like.
Could be a dude. We don't know.
Could be a dude. It really could. And they don't like. There's also these when you think of like porn stars and stuff. They have to keep their bodies in shape to sell because their body is what they're selling to this to this
the body
industry.
Is the product.
Yeah, exactly. So I can understand why people are upset from that perspective because it's like, dude, all this effort that we put in and guys want to jerk it to freaking virtual cam girls. I'm like, well, technology.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Melody has probably opened the floodgates in more ways than one. But I don't think she's going to be the last.
No, definitely
hentai
not.
Cam girl out there. I certainly think that there's going to be more after her, especially seeing the success that she's had doing this.
I think that this is just the beginning. Like we've always been, as technology has always advanced, we've always been infatuated with being able to pose as our avatar, right? People get into the role of something that they're portraying, and it's kind of just something people want to do. But for as long as I don't know if Melody would be as popular in a year because it's kind of just because it's the memes right now.
It's also a novelty now.
Yeah, it's a novelty right now, and it's kind of a meme status. But in the future, I don't know how big virtual cam girls are gonna get. Like, I'm not sure if it's gonna replace the porn industry or something, but it's definitely gonna make its way into it, and it's gonna make it's gonna be a big mark for sure. Like, it'll be part of it going forward forever now.
I do love Count Dankula made a video about Melody. And Count Dankula is a special creature. But at the very end of his video, he was like, because he was, making a response to all the cam girls that were criticizing Melody. He's like, if any of you out there have an issue with Melody, you can become her. But there is one thing you'll need to do, girls. You'll need to learn to code.
Yeah. Or these companies, it could go a different route where these companies were like in the porn industry, like, we need to get behind this. Let's just hire some porn actors or actresses or amateur cammers or whatever and pay them like pennies, and we can reap all the profits.
Yeah. But
who knows, right? This is just the beginning.
I could see it going both ways. Honestly, I could see it where, Project Melody, people, the novelty wears off and people just kind of go their separate ways. I mean, I think she'll still have fans, obviously, but I think maybe in a year from now she might have half of the people watching her that she does now, if that. And on the other hand, I can see it where by this time next year there's 3 or 4 new people just like Melody on the site.
Yeah, maybe they'll start being virtual husbandos too.
That's something I was going to ask you. So we've talked a lot about, these female branded avatars.
Yeah.
And there are, for like virtual YouTubers out there, there are male virtual YouTubers. But they're nowhere near as prevalent as, their female counterparts. So my question is, will virtual husbandos ever be as popular as virtual waifus?
I don't really think so, because it's kind of like, there's stigmas involved with women who frequently masturbate. Women masturbate just as much as men. There shouldn't be, really. We should be living in a very sex positive world going forward, because it's fucking 2020, you fucking prudes. But it just seems like because there's these stigmas over it, that there won't be a demand for it. Like, they could be. These husbandos have potential to become just as big as the waifus, but just because of how society views it and how, other women don't want other people to know. Like, it's like in Japan, it's seen as weird if a woman likes boy bands, if they're otaku for boy bands or something.
Yeah.
And it is weird because it's like, oh, you're obsessing over a boy band, but that's a pretty normal thing to do. Like, why is it okay for guys to obsess over, like, girl bands? What? Girls can do that too. Like, what the hell? But
I mean, they obsess over it to the point where they literally marry it. There was a guy, was it last year, 2019, or maybe 2018, that literally, like, genuinely married a holographic version of Hatsune Miku.
Oh yeah, I remember that. But
was it 2019 or 2018? I forget now.
I don't know the year, but I remember
it was recently. It was in the last couple of years.
And I don't speak of him because he did the one thing you're never supposed to do. He
looted Miku.
You never ever. She's an angel. She's untouchable. We're not supposed to do that. She's an electric angel that lives on in our hearts and our minds, but she's forever out of our reach.
You're just salty that you couldn't do it first.
I'm pretty sure I'd never marry her because she must remain pure. But yeah, it's just because of the social stigmas. I just feel like it won't be, but I hope it will be popular. Like, I hope there's a crowd for it. That'd be kind of cool. Like, just
and I mean, Count Dankula was being very facetious when he said it, but there really is nothing. I mean, there is sort of a financial barrier to entry, but in terms of what you're actually doing, there's nothing stopping other people from getting in on this.
Yeah, but with this movement in technology and the advent and people moving forward with it, it also presents this whole scary thing of, like, being catfished, like we talked about that virtual YouTuber who we thought was a girl and turns out it was a dude, and everyone was like, what the fuck, and
that was everyone's response originally, but then they all came back and it was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because it's like, well, if you want to portray the girl and all that stuff and that's how you truly feel, like, then that's not really a big deal. But it's like, I think about it more of like, what about these people, like, who with malicious intentions like me, who pretended to be a girl for some profit and gain for myself at the expense of these unsuspecting, what's the word I'm looking for? Unsuspecting victims.
Victims. Yeah, I was going to say target or victim. Yeah. It is. I mean, the word catfishing is kind of scary when you think about it, especially with like how good video and photo editing software is now. You can't trust photos and video anymore.
Yeah.
So who's to say that this like the 3D rendering software doesn't get like photorealistic and you're able to catfish someone into thinking you're someone that you're actually not? Like this technology is great when it's used for entertainment like this because it's pretty innocuous. Like if someone like keys an eye turns out to be a guy, like I mean who gets really hurt by that? No one. I mean, it's just for entertainment value. But you could theoretically end up using technology like that to lead people to ruinous ends.
Yeah, and that's why it's a weird thing to think about. And you know, it's also because like these type of cam, like these virtual cam girls or in the future, and cam husbandos, I guess, waifus and husbandos, it has a really broad sense of appeal, right? Mm-hmm. Like you don't
it certainly does to the otaku community.
Yeah, like, because it's just, they look like a pretty anime character, and they like stuff that I like. You know, it's pretty easy to get on, as someone who is being shunned by society for liking specific types of media, all right? As much as we hate to admit it, it's still kind of stigmatized of like, oh, at least when I was still in high school, like, it was okay to be nerdy, but if you go full tilt and you're like a giant weeb and you're like, oh, I worship these pantsu of
Naruto
like,
running through the common area.
Yeah, Naruto running through the common area. You're worshiping like dakimakuras and shit like that. It's okay. First of all, that's a weird thing to do because you're obviously not a normal person. But it's because of that. It's when you have other people who are willing to accept you for liking these things. It really does expand and broaden your audience.
And to be clear, we're not saying there's anything wrong with liking this stuff. It's just there's a time and place.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say that, like per the Wired article that talked about Project Melody. That
oh yeah, we got to talk about that because good lord, I've never seen a worse take on anything in my life. First of all, the title of this article just poisons the well from the get go. The title of this article. So someone did an interview with Project Melody, the person behind the voice and the wears the suit. The title of this article is "Do Fans of Cartoon Porn Stars Hate Real Women?" I have never seen the well poisoned so fast in my life.
And it's, you know, Wired is a little bit out of touch, but it's a clickbaity article title, and it works because it made us talk about it. Look at that.
Clickbait journalism works. As much as I hate to admit it, it does work.
And it's kind of true because, you know, when you think about like who would a 3D hentai cam girl even attract, and it's kind
incels.
It kind of points to like otaku neckbeard incel type people, because, you know, it's not, I wouldn't say it's so much as that they hate women, it's just that they don't know how to conduct themselves normally, and
they're socially awkward.
Yeah, they're socially awkward, and, you know, nothing works like in anime or video games where you can all of a sudden just like become the cool guy and every girl loves you. Like, you know, they have this disconnect with reality. Like, you know, that other person that you have an infatuation with, guess what? They're a real person too. So they have emotions, they have preferences just like you. And if they say no and they're mean about it, that sucks, and I'm sorry. But that means she wasn't going to work out for you anyway, and you don't need to treat them bad. But, you know, these guys do, and they curse women, and just, you know, they become incels.
I mean, these people do exist, and I'm not saying that it is certainly possible. As many people as watch her streams and view her content and online, you know, on Twitter and wherever. I'm not saying that there probably are some people, some of her male fans who are misogynist and who are incels and who legitimately hate actual women. I'm not saying that they don't exist in her fan base. They probably do. There's probably a very small minority, probably about 1% or maybe even less than 1%. But my issue with that is if you're just pointing that out and then just painting the whole fan base as maybe they're everywhere in her fan base. I mean, come on.
No.
Come on, man.
Let's be real. She's fucking a shit-posting meme lord, and that's why she's super popular, all right?
She is. And I'd also like to point out, so I have viewed 5 of her streams now.
Oh, jeez.
Say what you want about whatever that says about me. Say what you want. I don't care. I've watched 5 of her streams now. And in all 5 of those streams, the chat at the bottom of the screen is typically very, very positive.
Yeah, because most of the time, again, This is a novelty thing, you know. It's like, this is just super funny. It's a funny fucking concept. Hoes are mad. This is just surreal and weird. And
Hoes mad, bros glad.
Yeah, and it's just funny. It's just a funny situation to find yourself in, where it's like, I am in 2020 whacking it off to watching a virtual fucking cam girl. That's crazy.
It is. And we live in an amazing time to be alive.
Yeah, the future is now old man, like I said in the beginning. But this makes me think, though, is this just a trend, or is it the future, right? And because I personally feel like this is not a trend. Some people feel like it's a trend and that it's going to die out. And I'm like, well, I think Melody's streams won't be as popular in a year because there's going to be a saturated market in a year. But I definitely don't think this is just a trend, because as we've, the reason we discussed all the history of virtual personalities and, how it's accumulated to today is because we just, for some reason, want to be avatars, okay?
Yeah, I know, right? We just want to live in a virtual reality. We want to plug ourselves into the Matrix, and maybe this is the first step.
Yeah, or like if you've ever seen that movie, the American movie, I think it's American, Surrogates. It's
yes.
Yeah, it's just like that, where if you wanted to, you could rent a different body. You can be whoever you want it to be.
It's also worth mentioning that, since Melody can change her body to whatever she wants, she could be a Futa if you wanted her to be.
And with that, Alex,
I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, we're done with that.
No, I do want to end on one thing though. So you mentioned, is it a trend or is it a future? I thought maybe 3 or 4 years ago that Keys and I was going to be just a trend, and 4 and 5 years later, here we are, and she's still chugging along, and she's got more followers now than she ever has. More people watch her live streams than ever have.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
she
man.
makes like $20,000 a live stream.
Holy crap! Maybe I should be a cam girl. Maybe I should be a virtual YouTuber cam girl.
Well, you're gonna have to do one thing first, John.
Oh yeah, what's
you're gonna have to learn to code.
God damn it!
And with that, thank you all there for dropping it to listen to us. We hope you enjoyed it, because we always enjoy bringing this stuff to you. If you want to check out previous episodes of the podcast, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, BitChute, SoundCloud, and Spotify. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, you can join us on Discord, Facebook, Twitter, and our website. Shoot us an email if you have any questions, or if you have ideas for topics you'd like for us to talk about in the future. Links to all these things will be down below in the description. As always, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, John.
Good night, John.
Good night, Melody.
Joseph Joestar.
She's a fucking Joe, bro. Oh, man. Come on.